Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kelly Couch. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an independent promoter with our awesome company, Prove It. And today we are going to keep going with these connect tools. So, attract, connect, enroll. It's what we do here at Prove It. It's how we bring people in, and it's how we show them that we are not the message, we are the messenger. And so I want to keep talking about that with these connect tools. And the topic today is going to be ask and listen, 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 right? I think this is not just in our businesses. This works in our marriage. This works with our children. This works with whatever we're doing in life. So I'm hoping to bring that value to you today. I want to quickly recognize a few people. First of all, you guys for always showing up on here and giving energy back into me. I get excited to come on here. And that's a huge shift from years ago when I was super nervous. And now it's like, I see your faces. I have goosebumps. I'm all pumped up. It's like hanging out with my friends at noon every day without having to leave my house. I love it. So thank you guys for always bringing that energy and giving it to me. I also want to recognize a few people. Steph McCartney, excuse me. I think you're rocking. Like, I love the newness of like someone who's unsure of what they're about to accomplish. And so reaching out like, well, maybe I have this idea, or like the celebrations, the little celebrations. Like if we never stop those, imagine how much further we would go. Like if every time someone called you and wanted a 10-day, you called me and we celebrated. Like how cool would that be, right? Like, but in that beginning stage, they don't know what they're doing, but they're celebrating. We can celebrate with them. And I love that she's been reaching up and doing that. Shyly, it's amazing that you're always reaching out and getting coaching. And I think that, never stop. The only way we know what you guys need is if you're reaching out to us. Kylene and Beth, I think you guys are, for as new as you are, you're reaching out, you're connecting, you're coachable, super coachable. I will always recognize that. And Bridget Geis, her and I reconnected the other day, and I loved how honest she was with where she is and where her business is. And we can sit down and game plan with that. So gratitude. I want to jump right in. I am always thankful for positivity. You guys felt like even getting on here, like it made me super quirky. Like I love that we have a place to plug in. When you go to the store, you go to work, you go to school, you go to the parents line, anywhere you are, people are negative and they're like, oh, my life, we're back to school, blah. And I'm like I'm thankful that when I looked at the clock this morning, it was 9:15 and my kids were here and we homeschool. I'm thankful for that positivity and to be able to tune into that every day. So when we get off here, I want you to send that positivity and keep that going forward. So today I want to dig into the whys. Like, why do we connect? And why is it so important to do that? Who is using the calls? Like we've talked about connect tools. We've talked about why it's important. Who's been using those and sending those out to people? I have always, since the beginning, used any connect tool that Prove It has given. And my number one reason when I started was probably because it was compliant. Like I was an attorney and I know, we talked about from the beginning, like we can only talk about the things on the side of the box. But when people ask their questions, they don't look at the box like, how is this going to give me energy? No, they're like, one of my first questions was like, hey, I have XYZ, my foot's falling off, STU. Also, I have 40 ounces of fluid around my heart. Can I drink these? And I was like, what? Like what? I don't, even one of those I wouldn't even know, but ask a doctor. I don't know. But now they're compliant. So our doctor's calls are compliant ways to answer those questions. And anything Prove It puts out is incredible, right? So, just yesterday I had an Instagram lady. She reached out and she has Hashimoto's and she's asking me about T3 and T4, thyroid, this and that. And I'm like, it never ceases. I still don't know, but I know there's answers. And so I sent her the doc video. I didn't have to be the expert and we moved right along the conversation. And she literally said this morning, is that a doctor or is that one of your reps? And I was like, she believes in the product, but she's at, sorry, I got a phone call that just came through. We're good? Okay. So some of the whys behind connecting. Who agrees that Prove It has great resources? Right? Like we have amazing resources at our fingertips. And I love these connect tools. Like I can't get enough of like Inspire On. And that's always my first go-to. Like someone will call and say, so-and-so is not ready to promote yet. or she's thinking about it, but she doesn't know if she can do it, or this, whatever wherever situation people are in, we have a connect tool for that. It's just building their belief. So like that situation, I was like, send her the Inspire On. Right? Like if they're not sure they can do this, those Inspire On videos are perfect for that, because it gets into the why behind people can do it and what they did when they stepped out on the limb there. So our vibration behind the connection affects how the other person receives it, right? And if we can connect to the whys, we can raise our vibration from the get-go. We talked about the attract and bringing positivity into that. And if we can do that with connect, then they're receiving it better, and they're not like, oh, she's still trying to sell me. You're like, no, dude, I don't even know the answer to that. I drink it and feel good, but let me send you this, and like all that positivity that comes with it. They're like, oh yeah, sure. Maybe she doesn't even know what she's talking about, but this person does. They're a doctor, right? So I think raising our vibration, we're going to talk about two main things. The first is listening and finding someone's needs. And the second is giving someone the idea that they can do what you do. You want to empower people. That's the whole process behind building this business, right? So always, I don't want to get you guys confused here. The first step is the campfire video, right? That covers a lot of ground, and that's always the foundation for what you're going to do next. It lays a perfect foundation. So we're still doing that because we still want them to know what ketones are. We don't want to get all the way in how you're feeling and they're like, what is she even talking about? You got a 4-minute video, whether the person's a genius, whether the person's new, whether they're whatever they are, that lays the foundation, that gets it out there. That's always your first connect tool. And then how do we meet someone's needs, right? So it's a big part of, this is a huge part of the why behind connecting, right? It's not what it is finding out who they are and what they need. What it is not is us spewing why we love it, okay? So yes, you do want to share your story 100%. Like you can do that in your stories, you can do that in your Facebook, on your newsfeed, you can do that in person. You can be sharing your story, but we want to make sure when we're connecting that it's useful and applicable. So if I'm talking to Brian James bodybuilder, and I'm talking about how this gives me mom energy to change diapers through the night. And he's like, my goal is to be on stage in 2 months. And I'm like, hey, sometimes at night after I get the kids in bed, like you felt that disconnect, right? Like, what do we do? Like, what am I even talking about? Like, my story is powerful. But in that situation, I want to be making sure that I'm listening to his needs and connecting with the tool. So how can you do this? How can you find out who they are? You can check them out on social media. I won't say stalking, we're checking out. That's our job, right? And get a feel for who they are before you send any connect tools, right? So you can even make it a game. Like what if someone would ask you 20 questions about that person? Would you know? Do they like to work out? Do they have a dog? Do they have kids? Do they like the movies? Do they hike? What do they do? So that when you're connecting, you've got a sense of like who they are. And this can go all the way through when they join your team as a promoter. You want to be knowing who they are. You want to be knowing their kid's name, their husband name, maybe when their birthday is, like all these things. It plays the whole way through your business, right? And the second part of this is you want to become a good question asker and a good listener. So for example, you send a campfire video and they say, cool, or they say, great. And you're like, oh, okay. Now what? All right. So if I just say, oh, cool, and then I just let that go because they didn't say, sure, sign me up for a 5-day. The question you can be asking is, which one of those benefits would be a game changer for you? You see how I just shifted that? So they're like, cool. And instead of being like, oh, cool, they don't really love it, I'm like, no, cool, they watched it and they responded. And now I'm going to go in and say, like, what would the best one be? Or you could say, what stood out to you the most? Or you could say, tell me more. Okay, it's all ways of re-engaging. You're asking good questions and then you're listening. You're listening to what they're saying. Another example, say someone like hates you for sending the video. Like you send them a campfire and they are in attack mode. Okay, they're like, you're the worst human being ever. Why would you ever spam my inbox? Get off your like Kool-Aid juice. You know what? You've all heard it, right? We've all had these like people that don't love us, right? For sending them that video. A powerful question. I think it was Ray Higdon that I heard this from. What were you hoping to see? Like, what were you hoping to see? You said I could send the video, and I sent it, and now you're like the meanest person alive. Like, what were you? Okay, you're not going to say that part, but you're going to say, what were you hoping to see? And what that's hopefully going to do is give you a peek into their wants and needs, which is what we want to be hearing anyhow, right? And it maybe opens the door for another connect tool, which is exactly where we want to go with this, right? That does meet what they want. Like, so they asked you, okay, you can send the video, you sent it. That's not what they wanted, but what did they want? And then they're going to open up to you, and then you're going to be able to send something different, more along the lines of what they wanted. It's okay that you didn't get it right the first time. The campfire video is never wrong, because then they at least saw that, right? So then what is the connect tool they want? We have to get better at getting to know the people we're talking to. You know, I think we sometimes, especially if you're online, but even in person, you know, you need to be asking questions. There's no way for you to raise the vibration of the connection or the conversation or the interaction if you know nothing about the person. So that's why, just as an example of this, if you're saying, Kelly, I can't go to this vendor event with my new promoter, Betsy, can you show up? Okay, I know nothing about Betsy, right? So when I get there, I'm like, what was your name again? I'm sorry. Or like, what? Okay, tell me. That doesn't feel so good, right? To me or Betsy. That feels like I didn't even remember her name. Or if I've looked on her Facebook, or like, say Betsy is Kara's promoter, Kara's like, hey, here's all about Betsy. Here's her kids' names. Here's what she does for a living. Here is where she's at with ketones, XYZ. I can look and be like, Betsy, you know, like, how's Sarah swimming today? Like, that feels good. I can raise that vibration because I know going in about her, and that feels awesome to me, right? Are you empathizing with people? Are you thinking what they think? Are you getting on their level? You need to listen and connect way more than we talk, and that is hard here, you guys. I am not even, I mean, you'll say the opposite, but like in the past, I was never a talker, like a big just spew on people, but the more you learn, the more you love, you start to do that. It's hard to not just talk and love, and that's good too. It has its place, but in the beginning, we need to be listening. And so the second part of all of this is that we want to be giving someone the idea that they can do this with us, okay? So my sort of like how this happened to me, how I got the idea that I could do this. I was an attorney, okay? I was doing part-time work with that and part-time working from home, and we had done another network marketing gig, okay? And it didn't go so well. I thought at the time that it was a failure. I thought it was unsuccessful. I didn't know that we were working towards mastery and failing forward. And then I had my story with ketones. I started, but I had doc videos, I had met the community, I had people showing me that I could do this, other people that were like, hey, we also have that same story, and in the past we didn't think we could do it, but look what's happening here. So you want to be planting that seed that they can do this with you, right? If you would have told me that I would not be an attorney and that I would be taking selfies with ketones and doing sales, I would have laughed at you. That would be totally unrelatable to me. But in the midst of having my ketone experience, I was fortunate to have people along that journey saying, hey, stop a minute. Like, don't look at all these experts and count yourself out. Like, you have been successful. I'm sure all of you can look at one area in your life where you're successful, whether that's like baking or cooking, whether, you know, it doesn't have to be something huge. Like I had gone to law school, for heaven's sake. Like if I could complete that and pass the bar, I can do something else. I just need the confidence to know that I can do it, right? So you want to be saying like, hey, don't look at the experts in this field. Like that'll make you feel small and inadequate, right? But you can send a video. You can be a messenger. We want to plant that seed. That's where, like, start small. You can build this and you can do this, right? And it takes time. I think like a lot of times we see other people going fast and we want that, but this process takes time for a reason. It's a trickle effect, right? So through the drinking, you feel empowered. Through sending the videos and getting stories, you feel empowered. And then you grow a little bit at a time. And using this connect enables you to reach and empower more people. Do you know how many people out there, tons of people out there who could use some extra money, right? There are tons of people out there in this world who are beaten down and think they can't do what you do. Look at yourself though. When you started this journey, you were that person. I was that person, right? But you can empower them by connecting them with resources. And every time you do that, you're telling them you can do this. Every time I send a connect tool, instead of talking about it, I'm saying you can do the same thing I'm doing because I didn't try to be the message. I'm sending this tool. So every time you send the campfire instead of talking them through what a ketone is. Every time you send an inspire on instead of telling that person's story. I've even gotten in that. I'll hear Nick telling some people's stories and I'm like, oh man, I didn't get that story at the event. I don't know how to talk through that. I don't have to. They're all on that website, right? So you're saying to them, you can. I am, and you can, okay? They don't think they can be the huge expert, but they can connect people. We all can. That's the whole point of connection. That's why this stage, we cannot skip it, because I can't tell you how many times people have said, how do I get promoters, right? And we walked through that last week. Like, if you're aiming for promoters, there's ways and there's scripts, and you can start practicing that. But if you want to get more promoters without doing that, the way is connection. Teach them to connect and not to be the expert, and you will see how easily that transforms into, like, I can do this. Like, I just sent a video and I connected them to Nick. That is music to my ears when people say that, okay? So to recap, send a campfire, figure out who you're talking to, ask questions. These are real people with real needs. Your job is to figure these needs out and send a connection tool. And then be passionate about helping people who are in need of hope. In need of help with their situation, in need of this opportunity. You realize, like think about this, you guys. People are going to bed praying for what you have to offer. Like that gives me chills. Like I am looking at Stacey Rudisill, and it was so cool to me the other Zoom we got on, because we were on a Zoom with Kara and Stacey, and it was like, I don't know, we were talking through the experience pack, and they didn't, all the insecurities we all have. Like, am I going to be able to move this? I'm getting people to my house. Can I do this? And now here she is, almost rank 4, and we have another promoter on with the same insecurities, the same need of that hope, the same need of this opportunity. And we got to then turn, and Stacey got to then turn and pour into her and say, you can do this. Like, here's what you need to do. You need to connect them with me, connect them with Kara, connect them with Kelly. And then we went and poured into her in person. Like, it was the coolest thing to see them turn and duplicate that same thing and empower Steph. Like, that was so cool. I have like goosebumps thinking about it. So you realize that you hold the power in your hands. It's not what you say, it's how you take them through this process, right? Attract, connect, enroll for a reason, okay? You aren't just teaching them about ketones and the benefits. You're training them to become like you. You're empowering them to be and think like you do. We have to remember this end goal and reverse engineer it back to simplicity, right? That we're not keeping it simple because we don't know how to do it. We're keeping it simple because we want that end goal for them to be empowered to do it themselves. I have a funny story I was thinking about when I was training for this. My mom is notorious for giving my dad gifts for things that she wants to do. Like, she'll give him clippers for the yard, right? My dad does not want clippers, but my mom wants them to do the yard together. So she gives him clippers. Or like, she gave him white water rafting trip tickets. Like, I don't know if you guys know my dad. Like, I don't know that he would love to go white water rafting, but what's she doing? She's projecting what she wants on him. And sometimes we do that here with our business because, or, people we're connecting with or working with, because we want what we have for them so badly that we just project that right onto them. But we have to remember they're in a different spot with different needs. You will guide them more effectively once you learn this, and let them change their families' lives. Like, instead of you coming in and doing it and projecting all that for them, find out how they want to change it and then show them how to do it so that they can show other people how to change their lives. Like, how empowering does that feel to not only change someone else's life, but then to show them how to do that for other people? Whew! Okay. I like give myself goosebumps here. Not really. Okay, kind of. But okay, so call to action. Follow up with 5 people today, but beforehand, I want you to evaluate. Have you listened to them? Have you empathized with them? And have you empowered them? Okay, ask yourself this before you follow up and message them with intention. Okay, we all say, I think as far as the business goes, we always hear Brian Underwood say, to go to the next level, you're going to have to help a lot of people do a little bit more to get to your goals. Okay. Not everyone that I come in contact with wants to be a rank 10 with Prove It, right? But if I can help them make an extra couple hundred a month, I can give them hope that, they're going to be able to provide a nice Christmas for their kids. A little bit from a lot of people goes a long way, and you're empowering a lot of people. So we're almost to end of month. Saturday is the end of month. How will you end your month differently by doing this? I want you to take that into consideration. So thanks for hopping on here, you guys, and we will talk soon.